Good morning everyone. Today, I Himanshi of class 8th Himalaya is here to explain you the chapter 1 of history, how, when and where. How important are dates? History is certainly about the changes that occur over time. It is about finding out how things were in the past and how things have changed. In history, dates are important as they mark a specific or special event happened in the past. Brahmins offering Shastras to Britannia, frontispiece to the first map produced by James Rennell 1782. James Rennell was asked by Robert Clive to produce maps of Hindustan. An enthusiastic supporter of British conquest in India, Rennell saw preparation of maps as essential to the process of domination. The picture here tries to suggest that Indians willingly gave over their ancient texts to Britannia, the symbol of British power, as if asking her to become the protector of Indian culture. Advertisements help create taste. In 1992, advertisement of Lipton tea suggests that royalty all over the world is associated with this tea. In the background, you can see the outer wall of Indian Palace, while in the foreground, seated on the horseback is the son of Queen Victoria of Britain, Prince Arthur, who was given the title Duke of Connaught. Which dates? The dates we select, the dates around which we compose our story of the past, are not important on their own. They become vital because we focus on a particular set of events as important. Consider an example in histories written by the British historians in India. The rule of each Governor General was important. These historians begin with the rule of first Governor General Warren Hastings and ended with the rule of last Viceroy Lord Mountbatten. Warren Hastings. Warren Hastings became the first Governor General of India in 1773. While history books narrated the deeds of Governor Generals, biographies glorified them as persons, the paintings projected them as powerful figures. How do we periodize? In 1817, James Mill, a Scottish economist and political philosopher, published a massive 3-volume work, A History of British India. In this, he divided Indian history into 3 periods: Hindu, Muslim, and British. Mill thought that all Asian societies were at a lower level of civilization than Europe. According to his telling of history, before the British come to India, Hindu and Muslim despots ruled the country. British rule, Mill felt, could civilize India. Moving away from British classifications, historians have usually divided Indian history into ancient, medieval, and modern. This division too has its problems. It is a periodization that is borrowed from West, where the modern period was associated with the growth of all the forces of modernity: science, reasoning, democracy, liberty, and equality. What is colonial? Under the British rule, people did not have equality, freedom, or liberty. Nor was the period one of the economic growth and progress. Many historians therefore refer to this period as colonial. When the subjugation of one country by another leads to these kinds of political, economic, social, and cultural changes, we refer to the process as colonization. How do we know? Administration produces records. One important source is the official records of the British administration. The British believed that the act of writing was important. This conviction produced an administrative culture of memos, notings, and reports. The British also felt that all important documents and letters need to be carefully preserved. Specialized institutions like archives and museums were established to preserve important records. Letters and memos had moved from one branch of the administration to another in the early years of 19th century can still be read in the archives. The documents were carefully copied out and beautifully written by calligraphists who were specialized in the art of beautiful writing. National Archives of India 1920. When New Delhi was built, the National Museum and the National Archives were both located close to the Viceroyal Palace. This location reflects the importance these institutions had in British imagination. Surveys became important. The practice of surveying also became common under the colonial administration. The British believed that a country had to be properly known before it could be effectively administered. By the early 19th century, detailed surveys were being carried out to the map of entire country. In villages, revenue surveys were conducted. The effort was to know the topography, the soil quality, the flora, the fauna, the local history, and the cropping patterns. From the end of 19th century, census operations were held every 10 years. There were many other surveys: botanical surveys, zoological surveys, archaeological surveys, anthropological surveys, and forest surveys. A custard apple plant, 1770. Botanical gardens and natural history museums established by the British collected plant specimens and information about their uses. Local artists were asked to draw pictures of these specimens. Historians are now looking at the way such information was gathered and what this information revealed of colonialism. Mapping and survey operations in progress in Bengal. A drawing by James Prinsep, 1832. Note how all the instruments were used in surveys are placed in the foreground to emphasize the scientific nature of project. What official records do not tell. Official records tell us what the officials thought, what they were entrusted in, and what they wished to preserve for posterity. These records do not always help us understand what other people in the country felt and what lay behind their actions. We have diaries of people, accounts of pilgrims and travelers, autobiographies of important persons, and important booklets that were sold in local bazaars. As printing spread, newspapers were published and issues were debated and published. Leaders and reformers wrote to spread their ideas. Poets and novelists wrote to express their feelings. The Rebel of 1857. Images need to be carefully studied for they project the viewpoint of those who create them. This image can be found in illustrated books produced by the British after 1857 rebellion. The captain at the bottom says, "Mutinous sepoys, share the loot." In British representations, the rebels appear as greedy, vicious, and brutal. Thank you.